Last night at the UFC 304 post-fight press conference, Dana White cut Muhammad Mokaev, said he can go off to PFL in one of the most embarrassing, humiliating, disgraceful, unhinged post-fight press conferences I have seen in UFC history. I've been watching since 2010. I could make 4 or 5 videos based off what Dana was saying at the UFC 304 post-fight presser. We're going to look at a couple clips in this video. I may make another couple videos later this week. I was up till 8 a.m. last night covering 304. If you care to see my full post-fights, check them out. I'll link them down in the description. But it's crazy that Dana White is so willing to cast a 23-year-old undefeated contender to the side because let's be honest here. It's all about money. Now, we're going to take a look at what Dana had to say. But I want to start off by looking what Mokaev had to say in his post-fight interview. Because his post-fight interview was very, very telling regarding how the UFC feels about Mokaev. And I'll tell you right now, this all came down to money. This is 100% comes down to money. And even though Dana White denied that at the post-fight presser, that's what this is about. They don't want to pay a flyweight. That's why they got rid of Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. They don't want to pay these guys. I mean, they don't want to shell out for other guys. They don't want to shell out for Francis Ngannou. They don't want to have any concessions. They don't want to let any fighters have any power over them or get any, ever get their way. And that's what this all came down to. And I just think what Dana White said last night is even more embarrassing and unhinged when you contrast that to Muhammad Mokaev's post-fight interview. Because we're going to take a look at that. Listen to the very first clip. He just wants a title and a new contract. He wants to fight for the title. He says, I deserve the title shot. And honestly, the couple clips I'm going to show you from Mokaev here, I mean, I don't think he could have handled this post-fight presser any more mature and gave the absolute perfect answers. There were some things where you're like, okay, the UFC might get pissed about that. But it seemed like he was still very hopeful. And by the way, if you think maybe Muhammad Mokaev still gets re-signed, John Morgan reported earlier today, no time wasted removing Muhammad Mokaev from the official flyweight rankings pool. Voters were sent the following update. Flyweight update to all panelists. Please note that Muhammad Mokaev has been removed from the rankings eligibility. He has completed the last fight on his contract and will not be re-signed. If you have already completed your rankings, we please ask that you log back in and reevaluate the flyweight division. They do not want Mokaev to crack that top 5. They want him gone immediately. He is gone from the organization. And Dana White said that at the post-fight presser, which we're going to take a look at in a second. And at this post-fight presser, Dana White said so many unhinged things. I mean, he was basically shitting on Bilal Muhammad. I'm probably going to make a whole dedicated video on that. He was talking about Jones and Tom Aspinall and saying a bunch of ridiculous things. But let's start off by listening to what Mokaev has to say. Because right here, all he says is, look, I want a title shot and I want a new contract.
I'm going to fight for the belt, and I hope UFC give me a new contract. I'm finished. My contract is finished with UFC. I hope they give me a new contract. I know they want excited fights. I tried to put my striking together. First time in my career, I was standing with 3 rounds with the best flyweight striker, I believe.
So I'm 23 years old. They want exciting fights. I tried to stand with Manel Kape for 3 rounds, which basically he did. Basically he did. He basically stood and outstruck Manel Kape for 3 rounds. And I know there was some controversy, and I know he did shoot a couple takedowns. But he outstruck Manel Kape. That's what won in this fight. Next clip. They asked him, do you have a message for Dana White? I mean, listen to this. Could this be any more mature and the perfect way to handle it? Listen to what he has to say to Dana White.
Dana, please give me a new contract. I'm young. I'm 23 years old, 7-0 in UFC. I don't know who done this apart from John Jones. I believe I was ready to fight for the flyweight belt against Pantoja. Our message, UFC matchmaker said, I'm ready to step in, fight. But they said, we got another guy, Steven Irsik. Okay, I fought Manel Kape. He was ranked below me, but I think he was more dangerous than Pantoja.
So he said, look, I wanted to fight Pantoja before Urseg even got the shot against Pantoja, but they told me, no, we're going to give Urseg the title shot. That is crazy to begin with. That is crazy to begin with. And you know what's crazy? The UFC and Dana White is just ruining the sport. They're kicking out contenders, legit contenders. This guy is 23 years old. What's Leon Edwards, like 30? He's 7 years younger than Leon Edwards. Think about how crazy that is. This man's not even in his prime yet. He was ready to fight for the title and become one of the youngest champions in UFC history. They never gave him that opportunity because they do not want to pay him. He just says, Dana, please give me a new contract. That's all he wants is a new contract. And he wants to fight for a title. And he's even asked, if you get a new contract and they offer you a fight that's not for the title, how would you feel about that? And we'll check out that answer in a little bit. But the next clip is where the next question and answer is really where it gets interesting, because he says, look, they told me they don't want me to shoot takedowns anymore. And Dana White is asked specifically about that in his post-fight presser, which we'll look at in a second.
Well done. Thank you.
In front, did they try to give you a new contract before this fight?
By the way, this is a great question because the UFC doesn't like when guys fight out their deals and they get pissed about it, but it doesn't seem like that's the case with Mokaev. It's hard to say right now. But he says, look, you'll hear what he says.
They said they're going to see how I perform. They don't want to see me keep shooting and taking somebody down, but I've done what I could do with like tonight, yeah.
They said they didn't like you shooting in there? Is that what they said?
Yeah.
You can tell for a second there, he's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Isn't that crazy? And Dana denies it at the post-fight presser, but then basically admits it afterwards. Right immediately afterwards. And nobody even presses him on it. But yeah, they told Mokaev, look, we don't want you shooting takedowns. I mean, this sport is becoming a sham. Dana White's checked out. He's too obsessed with power slap, in a club in Mexico at 53 years old. And now he's telling guys not to shoot takedowns, or the matchmakers are telling guys not to shoot takedowns because, we need crazy highlights. Just a complete embarrassment. This dude's 23 years old, undefeated, and they're getting rid of him. Now they're getting rid of him.
Yeah, they don't like this because they try to get rid of flyweights before, and they don't want this kind of fight. But listen, I'm young. I'm still not in my prime. Mm-hmm. Like, if they want me to stand and bank with toe-to-toe with this, like, 30 years old grown man, I have to do what's best for me to win.
What?
I'm 23 years old. I'm young. I'm still not in my prime. He's still developing his striking, and he went out there and outstruck Manel Kape for 3 rounds at 23 years old. The resume is crazy. This is one of the greatest resumes when you compare it to his age in UFC history, as crazy as that sounds. And the UFC is just saying, we don't want you. With no real explanation. Dana White just complete cop out. It comes down to money, like always with Dana White, unwilling to pay his fighters. Comes down to money. But yeah, look, he says, look, I try to give a show. I have to do what's best for me to win, though. At the end of the day, if I don't win, I don't win. My career's done if I don't win fights. Just completely and utter ridiculous. They want me to stand toe-to-toe every single fight when I have this excellent grappling where I can find submissions. I have excellent BJJ. Him versus Tyra, great fight. Him versus Pantoja, great fight. And now we're going to miss out on these fights because Dana and the UFC have such massive egos. They can't stand when someone potentially stands up to them. And damn near a flyweight? A flyweight? Hell no. They're not going to let a flyweight. Nobody cares about flyweights. Look, this is ruining the sport. Just ruining the sport. Next question he's asked, are you going to look elsewhere? Are you excited to look elsewhere? Because I was wondering. Was Mokaev saying, oh, well, I heard about so-and-so getting big dollars from PFL, or I want to go get $1 million from PFL? Did he say that in like a meeting with the UFC or something, and that's where he rubbed the UFC the wrong way? But nope. Listen to his answer here.
No, I don't even look at other organization now. My dream is become UFC champion, and I'm doing everything. I was worried.
I'm doing everything. My dream is to become UFC champion. I'm not even looking elsewhere. This is really sad, guys. 23 years old, undefeated contender, and now he's gone. This is before he found out he was cut, obviously. Dana White spoke after Mokaev, which we're going to look at in a second. But just, this is crazy.
About my performance, not because like Manuel Kape is somebody in front. I was worried about my future life. If I didn't perform well today, if I lose, maybe UFC kick me out, and I had a lot of pressure thinking about my future. I have to feed my family. I don't know what else I can do in my life apart from fighting in the best organization in the world.
How is that not sad? I was worried about my performance. I was worried if I lose, they might kick me out. I got to feed my family. I don't know what else I would do other than fight in the best organization in the world. The one silver lining is he's 23 years old. He could come back. He can probably go. I don't know. PFL doesn't even have a flyweight division, do they? Now that I'm thinking about it, I should know this off the top of my head, but I think he would have to fight in the bantamweight division. He's going to fight Patchy Mix. The UFC and Dana White essentially just ended this dude's career. And anybody that's happy about that because you don't like grapplers, you're just a piece of shit. This man's worried about where he's going to feed his family. And I'm telling you right now, he's probably getting paid 12 and 12. He's probably getting paid 12 and 12 right now. He's on his initial contract. He's fought 7 times in the UFC. And people are going to cheerlead this type of stuff. Next clip, he talks about the matchmakers, which is crazy because according to Dana, the matchmakers hate him. So Mokaev is missing out on something here because he says, yeah, they all love me.
Hunter, Dana, Mig, they love me. You know, they have good relationship with me, but they just want highlights. Let's be realistic. They want highlights, KO, knockouts, the views, bring like pay-per-view, get money for the organization. This is their business. They want best for them. If they kick me out, they find another guy, I believe. But I have to evolve and get better every fight, and I think I show this from every fight.
I mean, that's so sad. Is this not, I mean, this is honestly depressing. I have to evolve and get better with each fight. You know, I'm trying to do that, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's just, you know, Dana, Mick, and Hunter apparently hate Mokaev. Apparently they hate him for the out of the cage issues, which is completely hypocritical, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the last clip I want to show you is really actually important because this is exactly the type of guy we want in the UFC. Not only is he young, not only is he undefeated, not only is he getting finishes, regardless if people call him boring. Listen to what he has to say here. He's asked, if you get re-signed but you don't get a title shot, how would you feel about that?
Now I just fight anyone. When I was younger, just came to UFC after Cody Durden's. I called out Muhammad Mokaev and he said, who are you? You just came to UFC. I'm above ranking, but I was above ranked Muhammad Mokaev at this fight, but I said I will fight him. So it doesn't matter to me who to fight.
I'll fight anyone. It doesn't matter who they want me to fight. God, I'm actually pissed that I even have to do this video. This is a complete and utter disgrace. They're not even making efforts to re-sign him. I need to know more. But Dana White just plays coy, which we're going to take a look at in a second. Because Dana White, I mean, this was one of the most unhinged post-fight pressers I've ever seen. I'm going to show you this clip. I may show this in another video shortly. But right here, he shits on the entire card. He shits on the entire card and says, I'm never giving out bonuses again, basically, extra bonuses.
Night. You know, every time you get on a press conference, the fighters manage to get you to up the bonuses. Do you think there's an argument that maybe you should just up them to...
I think tonight showed that we should not, no.
Oh.
Upping them doesn't change anything. It doesn't make anybody fight any harder. It doesn't change anything. I'm not doing this again.
I want to break something right now. That literally infuriates. This doesn't change nothing. I'm not doing that again. Doesn't make anyone fight any harder. What the fuck were you watching, Baldy? And fuck everyone who's like 304 was boring. First off, let's go through the card real quick. Bilal Muhammad fought his heart out. Dominated Leon Edwards. Tom Aspinall, first round KO. Paddy Pimblett, first round triangle choke. Gregory Rodriguez, Christian Leroy Duncan. Gregory Rodriguez didn't go out there and try to fight. He didn't go out there and try to put on a performance. Arnold Allen, same thing. Giga Chikadze, same thing. I mean, that's crazy. Daniel Pineda and Nathaniel Wood. They didn't go out there and try to fight. What? Molly McCann even. She lost. She looked like shit. She didn't go out there and try to fight. Okay, Jake Hadley, Kyle-Lan Lochran wasn't great. Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape wasn't great. It was a decent fight. Oban Elliott didn't go out there and try to fight. Modestas Bukauskas didn't go out there and try to fight and get a first-round finish. Or third-round finish, I'm sorry. Sam Patterson went out there and got a first-round finish. Mick Parkin didn't try to fight. What the fuck is Baldy talking about? Too busy with power slaps so far up his ass that he's got to say, oh, no one went out there and even tried to fight. What? I mean, seriously. What an absolute insult to everyone on UFC 304. Complete and utter disgrace. He puts together these shit Apex cards that end up absolute dog shit on paper and dog shit in real life. And then he goes out of his way to shit on a card like this. Isn't he supposed to be a promoter? WME needs to get rid of him. Now, this is a topic for another video, so I'm just going to continue on. But seriously, I'm never doing that again. We're going to go and listen to a little bit more.
Ever. Today was the last day that I'm doing that. Yeah. Not saying that in the future the bonuses couldn't get up.
By the way, never, and today's the last day. This last time I'm ever going to do this. And then he says, I'm not saying it can't happen in the future. So which is it? And by the way, in a second here, he says one of the single dumbest things I've heard in Dana White post-fight press conference history. One of the dumbest things. Wait till you hear what he says in about 30 seconds.
But I'm not going to be at a press conference and say 200, 300, fucking never again. Never again. So you
And also, is this dude just waiting for his coke hit? I mean, I've never seen somebody lick their lips so much throughout a post-fight presser. Did you guys just see that? And he does this the entire presser. I mean, you'll see it throughout some of these clips. Look at this. What is this guy doing?
never again. So you can thank everybody on this card for that.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. Nobody fought any harder. There was no sense of urgency. Holy shit, I want the 100,000.
3 a.m.
Why is there no pushback other than the timing? Why don't you mention all the fighters that actually fought their asses off? Where's the media? Everyone's dead silent. They don't know what to say because they're scared of Daddy Dana. Legacy media is dead. Why do you think MMA YouTube's becoming so popular? Because these guys are fucking clowns. Luckily, he pushes back a little bit and says something about the timing. And that's when Dana says the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've rewinded a little bit. Because he says, oh, it was 3 a.m. Because you put the fights on at 3 a.m.
Holy shit, I want the 100,000.
3 a.m.
7 straight. Who gives a fuck? It's fucking 7 o'clock in Vegas. So,
look, I'm genuinely infuriated right now. I told you guys, in my real life, I really don't get mad about anything. Okay, it may seem like I'm animated, passionate. I don't really get mad about stuff. The one thing, whether it applies to MMA, whether it applies to real life, that really pisses me off is the lack of logic, the lack of critical thinking. Listen to what this dumb, bald, stupid motherfucker just said. Listen to what he just said. Listen very carefully to what this dumb idiot just said.
Harder. There was no sense of urgency. Holy shit, I want the 100,000.
3 a.m.
7 straight.
It was 3 a.m. Well, what could possibly Dana's rebuttal to be to that? Oh, he could just say, well, they known for 3 months it was going to be at 3 a.m. That would have been a perfectly fine answer. Listen to what this idiot said.
Who gives a fuck? It's fucking 7 o'clock in Vegas. So,
It's 7 o'clock in Vegas. What does that have anything to do with anything, you dumb shit? It's 7 o'clock in Vegas? I'm not going to lie. Hearing this, I think if I was there, I had to leap over that. I would have went to jail. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm angry listening to it. I'm being dead serious. I'm angry listening to it. Well, it's 7 a.m. in Vegas. Oh, really? If I would have been the media member, I'd be like, really, Dana? What time was it in Australia? What time is it in China right now? What time is it in Russia? What time is it in South America? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Is the real question. Where's the logic in that? What does it matter if it's 7 p.m. in Vegas right now? All right, let's get on to the Mokaev stuff. We'll listen to last like 10 seconds of this, then we got to get into the Mokaev stuff. It's 7 p.m. in Vegas. How did somebody not say, Dana, what the fuck are you even talking about, brother? Huh?
whatever. Yeah. Never again.
Okay. And last
7 straight fucking decisions. Yeah. The 100,000 was a real big fucking woohoo. Let's get it, boys. Fuck that shit. Never again.
Okay.
Yeah, keep licking your lips. Keep licking your lips. Yeah, you don't want to give out those bonuses. You've been giving out 50K bonuses for like 20 years. You brag every event about your gates and your, ticket sales. Well, I guess ticket sales is gates, and your pay-per-view sales and how much the business has grown and your streaming rights deals. But you're like, oh yeah, we're going to keep the bonuses at 50K for 150 years. Absolutely ridiculous. I needed to show that. I may make it a whole another video on that. Because again, I could go off about that for literally 50 minutes. But let's move on to the actual Mokaev stuff. To be honest, I shouldn't even include that because now I'm making the video way too long. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoyed this video, if you're enjoying this video, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's listen to what he has to say about Muhammad Mokaev.
At the hotel.
There was so much bad shit that happened in the behind the scenes with that thing. And yeah, not good.
Mokaev said that his contract is up, and he made this interesting remark that said someone at the UFC told him to stop shooting for these takedowns so much, and maybe he'll get this contract that he wants. Is that true, and what do you think he'll bring him back?
Yeah.
By the way, listen to Danny's response. He sarcastically says yes, and then he denies it, and then he admits it.
Yeah, that's what we tell guys. We tell guys how to fight and tell them we've been doing this for a long fucking time. I'm sure one of the matchmakers probably said something to him or whatever, but
I'm sure one of the matchmakers probably said something to him. So which is it, Dana? You just said sarcastically, yeah, I'm sure someone told him how to fight. But yeah, I'm sure one of the matchmakers probably said something to him. So you're trying to manipulate someone's fight style because you don't like... Is this a sport or not? I understand it's entertainment business as well. Is this a sport or not? And what's crazy is people calling Mokaev boring. 7 fights in the UFC. Listen to this resume. Cody Durden, Charles Johnson, Malcolm Gordon, Jafel Filio, Tim Elliott, Alex Perez, and Manel Kopp. 7 fights, 4 finishes. And people want to sit here and be like, oh, this guy's boring. But let's carry on, but listen to the delusional, unhinged Dana White.
Yeah, the matchmakers aren't big fans of his for many different reasons. And not just take. There's a lot of people who shoot takedowns in this business.
So please divulge it, Dana. What's the reasoning? Why aren't the matchmakers fans of him? It seems like he takes every fight he's offered. He's fighting tough matchup after tough matchup. He's being active. He's finding finishes in more than half of his fights, and he's 23 years old and undefeated. So what don't they like? Please elaborate. Is it money? Is it money? Is that what it is? Luckily, he's asked a follow-up question, and he's kind of pressed on it a little bit.
You know, a lot of guys that fight with that type of style, but it's a lot more than just that.
But Mokaev is the guy that you'd want to bring back to the UFC because he said his contract is totally done now.
Yeah, he is. He's under contract. He's not under contract anymore.
Okay, but would you be interested in keeping him around in the fall?
I think the PFL is going to get a great undefeated guy.
Really?
I mean, this is a sport killer, guys. Listen, I understand some of you guys probably don't like Mokaev. I understand some of you guys are going to say he's boring. I get it. I 100% get it. If you don't think there should be a spot on the roster for somebody like Muhammad Mokaev, when you have trash fighter after trash fighter being brought up and put on, main cards of Apex events, and the barrier of entry into the UFC has gotten so low, we're just going to cast Mokaev to PFL just because Daddy Dana doesn't want to pay him any money. He's probably on a 12-12 contract. That's what Daddy Dana didn't like. Mokaev went out and said, look, I'm on the lowest contract. I'm probably one of the lowest paid fighters in the UFC. Dana doesn't like that. And I kind of get it. But, I mean, seriously, when you start letting some of these guys go, I hated to see it with Gegard Mousasi. I hated to see it with Rory McDonald. It's not about whether or not they can be a champion, which Mokaev's only 23 years old. He could very well be a champion. But it's about, why are we having there's literal bums on the roster, and we're going to get rid of a guy who's a top 5 talent in a division that needs fresh faces, in a division that is, dying for, high level or a high pool of talent, a division that almost got killed off a couple years back. And you're just going to cast them to the side. And then the most hypocritical thing is he starts to try to blame it on outside the cage stuff. It's just crazy.
Good luck to him. Yeah.
What about Manel? Because we saw even before the fight even started, he was trying to run it. Muhammad Mokaev, the security had.
And is it Mokaev? Why does this guy say Mokaev? Am I totally off, or is it Mokaev? So I don't know.
To get in there before the first bell even rang.
Yeah, because just so much dumb shit has happened. I mean, we couldn't even have a face-off. But it was one of those typical kind of fights. We've all seen this before over the years. Oh, I can't wait to get to you. I can't wait to get to you. Oh, I'm going to fucking kill you. And then 5 minutes and they don't do anything for the first 5 minutes of the fight. I mean, it's just, we kind of figured that's how that fight would go. It's, historically, that's how they go.
And last one on this, when you said the PFL is going to get an undefeated fighter, is that his fighting style?
Let me just rewind this real quick. I mean, how many times is this guy going to do, seriously, lick his lips over? I mean, he needs his coke, man. He needs to get out of there.
When you said the PFL is going to get an undefeated fighter, is that his fighting style? Is that he's asking for too much money? Why?
None of the above. Listen, for whatever reason, listen, the stuff that played out here over the last several months, it started at the PI and other stories of, this breaking out, plus many other things.
This motherfucker, and I'm probably getting demonetized for this video, is trying to blame it on outside the cage antics. Oh, he got into an incident with Manel Kopp at the PI, and then, in the lead up to this fight, he got into another incident at the hotel lobby and many other things. Well, you know what he didn't do? He didn't get behind the wheel of a car and crash into a pregnant woman and then run from the scene of the crime. Okay? He didn't get a DUI. He didn't brutally assault his brother in front of his brother's wife and his own young children. He didn't do that. He didn't get arrested with alleged domestic violence in Las Vegas after the Hall of Fame ceremony. Okay? All these guys, Conor is getting accused of rape every other day. Conor's smashing phones fans. He's punching old men in pubs because they don't want to drink his shit alcohol. You know, Conor's attacking buses with dollies, hurting and emotionally scarring women who were on those buses. He's getting fights canceled. Dana uses that shit to promote. And now all of a sudden, well, oh, there's all these outside things. I mean, is this guy really trying to act like, yeah, he's too hard to handle outside the cage? What about the Jones DC brawl in the lobby of a hotel? What about, I mean, I could name countless examples of out of the cage antics. They let guys fight who are accused of domestic violence. You know, Greg Hardy. I mean, there's so many examples. And Dana White's like, yeah, oh, they got into a scuffle twice, and we used it to promote the fight. But yeah, that's why we got to let him go. And other things. It's none of the above. It's not about money. It's not about fight style. Yeah, right. I'm telling you right now, it's about money and fight style.
These guys don't want to re-sign him.
And then last one for me.
That's very interesting. I found that line very interesting. Let's listen to that one last time.
Stories of this breaking out, plus many other things. These guys don't want to re-sign him.
So the first follow-up question for me would have been, who were these guys? I'm assuming he's talking about the matchmakers, which is Hunter Campbell, Mick Maynard, and whoever else I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Hunter Campbell, Mick Maynard. I think that's it now. Maybe that's it now. I don't know. But anyway, these guys don't like him. And blames him on outside the cage antics. What? Sean Shelby is who I was thinking of. I'm sorry. For a second I was thinking Joe Silva, who's the old matchmaker. But yeah, Sean Shelby. Yeah, these guys don't like him. Well, why? Why don't they like him? They don't like him because he got into an incident at the PI? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you look at history, Dana. I thought this was a fight game. You're okay when Colby Covington shows up and makes fun of someone's dead father and then goes out and doesn't fight and puts on a shit performance. But now you're critical of this guy? It's just a complete disgrace. And again, I just want to highlight this one more time. Look at this resume. I am not kidding when I say this is one of the most impressive resumes I've seen for a 23-year-old in the UFC. This guy is truly talented. He could beat Alexandre Pantoja. He could beat the likes of, a guy like Manel Kape, which he just did. He can beat the likes of the top 5. Brandon Moreno. There's some great matchups. Tatsuro Taira. Who wouldn't want to see Taira versus Mokaev? He's 23 years old. 23 years old, 12-0, 7 finishes throughout his career. And now we're getting rid of him because maybe some outside the cage antics. No, let me just tell you what this all comes down to. Dana White does not think the flyweight division is profitable. He especially doesn't think it's profitable when you have a guy who's grappling heavy, such as Mokaev, and then Mokaev must have been asking too much for his contract. My guess is 2 fights ago, they probably tried to re-sign him. 3 fights ago, they tried to re-sign him. Mokaev probably said, well, I want this. And they said, no. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to fight out my deal, and I'll win a couple good fights, and then I'll have leverage. And they said, well, we'll be damned if you have any leverage over us. And now they're saying, listen, you try to do what's best for you, we're going to do what's best for us, ship you off to PFL, end your career. It's just craziness, and it's really a sport killer, guys. This type of stuff, maybe Mokaev doesn't kill the sport, but this is going to happen. It's going to happen. All because Dana White and the rest of the organization, their egos. They do not want to let any fighter have any type of leverage over them ever, and when they try to get any, they're just like, okay, you're gone. We don't want you. We don't need you. And the UFC is bigger than any one fighter. That's a fact. But this is sad. And I wonder also, and I haven't put enough thought into this yet to really say, the antitrust lawsuit's still going on. They came to a settlement, but the judge rejected the settlement, and it may go to court. I'm wondering if this is going to be one of their examples. Look, we're not a monopoly. Look, we let Mokaev fight out his deal. He was a top 5 guy. Don't be surprised. And I'm going to do some digging into that, and we'll talk about that in the future. Don't be surprised if that's one of the reasons they let Mokaev go. I haven't seen anyone mention that. So I think it's a combination of all those things. The fight style, the flyweight division, and the fact that he wanted more than 12-12. That is the facts, okay? And Dana White embarrassed himself at this post-fight presser. I may do a couple other videos about Bilal Muhammad, about the John Jones-Tom Aspinall thing, and various other things. If you care to check out my post-fight recap for the main event, Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad 2, or the entire card, I will link both those videos down in the description. Please subscribe to the channel. Please turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. Like the video, and I will see you in the next video.